Good morning and welcome. This is Mission Control Houston. The International Space Station is kicking off its week with a President's Day arrival of a cargo spacecraft delivering 8,300 pounds of food, supplies, and scientific experiments to the astronauts in orbit. You're seeing a live view now of the cargo spacecraft, a Northrop Grumman Cygnus vehicle named the SS Pierce Sellers under the firm grasp of the space station's robotic arm, ready to be berthed or installed to the Earth-facing port on the Unity module. The space station is currently flying now over the Indian Ocean just south of Australia. Earlier today, Cygnus approached the space station, and NASA astronaut Rajachari maneuvered the robotic arm to complete the rendezvous and capture at 3:44 a.m. alongside his backup NASA astronaut Kayla Barron. At the time of capture, the International Space Station was flying over the Indian Ocean, just like where it is now. Cygnus completed a number of planned holds this morning, and each time the Cygnus vehicle and its onboard systems looked nominal for rendezvous and capture. The vehicle is continuing to do well at the end of the station's robotic arm. The berthing you'll be watching today is not actually done by Chari, Barron, or anyone in orbit. All motions of the robotic arm will now be completed by Robotics Officer Jason Campbell, or Robo, as the console position is known here in Mission Control Houston. It's a ground-controlled operation. Robo will check out the visiting vehicle, which is the Cygnus here, which could include a camera inspection of Cygnus using the robotic arm, making sure it's free of any debris, and taking a look at the state of the common berthing mechanism that's on the space station. The robotics officer now confirming with the flight director, Brandon Lloyd, this morning that they're almost ready for RTL, or the ready-to-latch sensors. The common berthing mechanism on Cygnus has to be properly aligned with its twin on the Unity module for it to proceed.
Huntsville on 2 for Tom and MSG.
They confirm that they're just a few steps away from RTL, or ready to latch.
Go ahead on 2 for Tom.
Hey, Tom, we're talking timeline down here. We think we see you finished up step 12.1. We think that's a good place to stop and hold, let you go work on the T2 stuff. We're going to work timeline down here to get you back on to finish this later today. That's the plan going forward. How copy?
Okay, sure. I'll jump in with Matthias on the T2 isolator stuff and get these. Well, see, I just pulled these standoffs out, so let me get those on and then I'll break.
Copy all, Tom. When you're done there, just we do need the window back in place before you leave. That's the only thing. Copy, Tom.
Over the course of our coverage, you can expect to see the Cygnus move in small increments as the robotics officer works to complete the checks and align the spacecraft with the space station's common berthing mechanism. Then we expect a series of 4 latches to close, helping keep the vehicle in place, paving the way for 16 hooks to close, further securing Cygnus and installing it to the Earth-facing side of the station's Unity module. This is a live view from the common berthing mechanism's camera system, again used to help the ground crews with the alignment of the spacecraft. Northrop Grumman's 17th Commercial Resupply Services mission kicked off at 11:40 a.m. Central Time on Saturday, February 19th, when Cygnus launched atop an Antares rocket from Launch Pad 0A at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility on the eastern shore of Virginia.
And Huntsville, Station on 2 for MSG standoffs.
Go ahead, Tom.
There were 5 standoff cylinders in the rear panel kit located in MSG. 2 of the 5, however, did not have screws, no fastener ends. It looks like some kind of nylon fastener that's stuck into that hole there. So there's no way to put those 2 in. I do recall finding a standoff as part of our lost and found, and was instructed to install it in the or to stow it in the JLP in a CTV. I don't remember that location, but that might be one that I can use unless you have another location or another idea about that 4th standoff.
The robotic arm used in today's operation is called the SSRMS, or Space Station Remote Manipulator System, or just simply Canadarm2. The Canadian-built robotic arm serves many purposes: to assist with space station upkeep and maintenance, to move large supplies and equipment, to transport astronauts during spacewalks, and, like it's doing today, grappling visiting vehicles and berthing them to the space station.
Are going to be used, they're called the right standoffs. We're going to use those later in the procedure. So that means we are just missing one, and we'll look on a location for you and get back to you when we get back to this later today.
You're getting a live view of the International Space Station's flight control room. Flight Director Brandon Lloyd is at the helm of the International Space Station's flight control room this morning, overseeing the installation. We just got confirmation about a good alignment, and they're ready to latch. It's almost ready to go.
Tom, I think we got a good view just as we lost KU, but the window needs to be on and the glove port covers do need to be in.
Okay, that's complete. Thanks.
The robotics officer controlling Canadarm2 for this operation is actually moving ahead of schedule. The space station has now entered an orbital nighttime. It's expected to fly over New Zealand shortly. Northrop Grumman always names its Cygnus cargo spacecraft after notable members of the aerospace community, and the Cygnus that you see here on screen at the end of the robotic arm bears the name the SS Pierce Sellers. Sellers joined the astronaut corps here at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston back in 1996, where he would go on to serve 3 space shuttle missions, STS-112, 121, and 132. He spent many of his days in the space station on spacewalks, having spent 41 hours suited up outside the space station and playing a large role in the assembly of the station. When the spacecraft arrived, astronaut Rajachari congratulated the NASA and Northrop Grumman teams for delivering the 8,300 pounds of cargo successfully, paying tribute to Sellers as an early assembler of the station where Chari now resides.
Houston's with you on 2.
Yeah, Jackie, we're working with that upper isolator that looked to be stuck, had a lot of stiction yesterday. That remains true. It's on the A side. That is the wire end. And the small cylinder is completely stuck, for lack of a better word, with the knob. We're unable to have any independent rotation between those two. There is a long hex nut next to the braided steel cable that perhaps if we held onto that, we might be able to overcome the stiction. But again, there's a lot of friction there. And so right now we're unable to move it at all. And Jackie, just some more information. Dimension A on this upper isolator right now is too long by about a centimeter. We haven't measured his current length now, but it's definitely way too long.
Tom, with the report you just gave us about that upper isolator, the one that was had a lot of sticking yesterday, we see you in this inspection procedure in step 3, and it sounds like you're unable to adjust to neutral, even with the additional recommendations here. So assuming that's the case, then we would see you stopping work on that isolator, note the serial number, and do the photo documentation.
Okay, yep, step 3 is where we are. And this, just so you know, it's only on the A end. The B end is completely mobile. It feels nice, feels just like a new one.
Okay, good data. We copy.
The robotics officer here in Mission Control just relayed to our flight director, Brandon Lloyd, that the common berthing mechanism on Cygnus is properly aligned with the common berthing mechanism on the Unity module, and he is ready to proceed. Cygnus is being installed onto the space station's Unity module, also known as Node 1. Unity has 4 common berthing mechanisms, or CBMs. Cygnus is being installed onto the nadir port, or the Earth-facing side. An inspection of the PCBM, or the Passive Common Berthing Mechanism, is already complete, with ground teams giving it a good bill of health. Today's installation is a two-part operation. The first stage is a series of latches that are locked into place, creating a soft capture of the Cygnus vehicle. But installation of Cygnus won't be complete until the second stage, when a series of 16 bolts will drive in groups of 4 to secure Cygnus to the station. Robotics Officer Jason Campbell just confirmed that Cygnus is pushing into the port. Now that Cygnus is being pushed into place, you're likely not to see any more movement from the spacecraft on your screen, as now it'll just be a series of latches and hooks to complete installation. After a quick go, no-go poll here in Mission Control, the robotics officer let our flight director know that he is good for first stage capture. First stage is a series of latches that are locked into place, creating kind of a soft capture for the Cygnus vehicle. This does not mean installation is complete, but is a critical first step. We just got confirmation that first stage capture is now complete. Cygnus is now soft captured to the International Space Station. What comes next to complete installation is a series of 16 bolts driving in 4 at a time to secure Cygnus to the space station. Second stage capture is now underway. If you're just now joining us, the Cygnus vehicle made its way to the International Space Station today, was captured by NASA astronaut Raj Achari. He captured it with the station's robotic arm. Now, Cygnus has turned its control to the ground teams here in Mission Control, where they're controlling the robotic arm. They've aligned it with the Unity module port, where the Cygnus will be facing the Earth. And now we're waiting for 16 hooks to drive on the spacecraft to firmly secure Cygnus to the International Space Station. A series of latches are locked into place, creating a soft capture of Cygnus. This is the first step in a two-step installation process of the Cygnus cargo spacecraft. The second part, driving a series of 16 bolts, is underway now. after installation is complete. Later today, astronaut Tom Marshburn is expected to do some leak checks. Also today, Raj Achari and Kayla Barron will return to the berthed vehicle to do some more checkouts and ingress or open the Cygnus door. But the actual unpacking of the cargo is expected tomorrow and into the rest of the week. The second stage of Cygnus installation is underway, and the driving of 16 bolts is in progress. Installation of the Northrop Grumman Cygnus spacecraft was completed at 6:02 a.m. Central Time while the space station was flying over the Pacific Ocean. And that is capture complete on the Cygnus vehicle. We just went through the second stage of installation where a series of 16 bolts were driven. Installation of the Cygnus spacecraft was completed at 6:02 a.m. Central Time, 7:02 a.m. Eastern, while the space station was flying over the Pacific Ocean. All 16 hooks are now driven, tight, and secure, resulting in a hard mate of the spacecraft. Second stage capture is complete. Northrop Grumman's 17th commercial resupply mission is now attached to the Unity module, and its 8,300 pounds of cargo will be unloaded as early as tomorrow. It's scheduled to stay until the end of May. When Cygnus leaves the space station, it will have spent almost 100 days attached to the Unity module. After departing, it'll stay in orbit for about 16 days, deploy a number of small satellites, and conduct a destructive re-entry into Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean where the space station is now. This fiery re-entry helps the station remove trash, waste, and other items no longer needed in orbit. The robotic arm is expected to drift away, and later today, Tom Marshburn will do some checks of the vehicle, make sure there's no leaks, and Kayla Barron and Rajachari will return to ingress or open the hatch of the Cygnus space vehicle. That concludes our coverage of the mission. This is Mission Control Houston.